When you're a loan officer that works for a company, you get paid off the top line. When you're a loan officer that owns your own mortgage company, you get paid off the bottom line. Those are two massively, drastically different words.
The biggest thing is humility. And I can't tell you, Wally, how many times I looked at an auditor across the table and I just said, hey, I've not done this before. So if I do something wrong, just tell me, coach me. And that's been my mindset with everything.
24/7 mindset world. I am laughing because I'm excited about this section of our interview. So not only is a good friend, a great golfing buddy, but one of the leaders in the mortgage space. So Robert, thank you for making time for the 24/7 mindset show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you bet. All right. So you and I used to be in the retail space. We left the retail space for the wholesale space. And you have coined the phrase, you wish that there was mortgage brokering or brokeraging for dummies. Elaborate a little bit about that.
Well, actually, I was never in the retail space. I've been a broker from day one, but I was, prior to the mortgage business, I was a technology sales consultant, fresh out of college. When I made the complete shift to get into the mortgage space, I was, like we joke about, titles on a business card. I was a loan officer. I worked at a broker shop that put 2 leads on your desk every day, and we didn't have technology. We, used the phone, et cetera. Most people didn't have laptops in that office. And I know I aged myself, but the state of Ohio says that you have to be in the business 3 years before you can own your own shop. I've always had the entrepreneurial mindset that I wanted to be my own boss. Even if you go back and talk to some of my college professors, I always kind of said I'm going to be CEO or own my own business. And I don't say that in a braggadocious sense because it's very humbling when you get that opportunity. So when the opportunity presented itself after 3 years in the business, I took over Third Street Financial. I bought it from a previous manager of mine at that broker shop. I got in by myself with no staff, no, assets, there were 0 assets, and I didn't know anything. I now all of a sudden had to be prepared for audits and, disclosures and compliance and all of the other stuff. And so I've joked about this comes back to a time in 2007, Wally, where there were yellow books everywhere that said something for dummies, cold plunging for dummies, and that's when books were very, very prevalent. Now we can go to YouTube or chat or other spaces and learn. And so I said, I wish there was a guidebook. I wish there was mortgage brokers for dummies, because you had the roadmap and it told you what to do and what not to do. And so, that's where that came from. And now, having been in the space and owned my own business since 2007, man, we're almost 20 years now of Third Street Financial being under me. It was 3 years before that, but I feel like I've learned a lot, and I feel like I can be a resource for other people. I'm still learning. I think I know what you're going to ask me next, so I'm going to go ahead and answer it, is humility. And I can't tell you, Wally, how many times I looked at an auditor across the table and I just said, hey, I've not done this before. So if I do something wrong, just tell me, coach me. And that's been my mindset with everything. Like with you, with anything that I'm involved in, I just try to stay extremely humble and ask questions if I'm doing something wrong.
Yeah, I mean, the question I was going to ask was more going to be a statement. I mean, I was in the retail space. I've been in mortgage now 26 years, and I was in the retail space for 24 of my first 26 years. And I'll be the first to tell you, I've reached back out to every manager I've had in the past and apologized. And flat out told every single one all those years that I had no idea how easy they made my job for me and how great I had it. When you're a loan officer that works for a company, you get paid off the top line. When you're a loan officer that owns your own mortgage company, you get paid off the bottom line. Those are two massively, drastically different words. And I think so many loan officers will leave one company to go from 100 basis points to 125 or 100 basis points to 150 basis points, whatever the number is. But they don't understand how much effort, time, energy, and mistakes it takes, because I didn't understand it, to be able to build the infrastructure of a mortgage company just to be able to have such little profits.
You know, it's really interesting when you talk a lot about lenses in your book. And it's interesting when you start thinking about ordering a $120 credit report when you look at it through a different lens. You look at it through a loan officer lens, it's like, let me pull that credit report. I'm not paying for it. When you look at it through the owner lens, you're like, hey, maybe we should ask a couple of qualifying questions before we order that credit report.
We've been now in business now for 2.5 years, just a hair above 2 years. And now we've got 26 licenses. And I look back at it, 26 different state licenses. And I look back at the teams like, dude, we need to get licensed in Michigan. We get licensed in Pennsylvania. We need to get licensed. Well, every single state that you get licensed in, you've got to pay the state fee to get licensed. You've got to provide audited financials. You've got to get the insurance bond. You've got to get the surety bond. Thousands of dollars per state, year after year after year. And when you go to a loan officer, hey, great news, I just got licensed in Michigan. You said you had a $600,000 contract that's close. Oh, they ended up going to a different lender, or they didn't go. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, dude, I just spent like $12,000 getting licensed in Michigan. And even if you were going to close that loan, I would have made this much in like net profitability for the business. And I mean, stuff like that, all the way to when you own your own business, really understanding the cost it takes to run a company for compliance, licensing, HR, benefits, payroll. None of those are profit centers. All those are cost centers that you've got to take off the little basis points that you charge. And when I got in the wholesale space, his name is Dino. He's out of California. He owns Ethos Lending. And I said, hey man, like, what I don't understand is like you've got a ton of loan officers, but you don't have many top producers. And his great advice back to me, he goes, well, a lot of the top producers that I've had have gone out there to try to do their own mortgage business. And one thing that I felt really surprising, like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Why would they want to stay with you? I think as a loan officer, unfortunately, we feel that we deserve all the money, not a portion of it, not a piece of it, all the money. And you realize really quickly when you get into the wholesale space or you launch your own mortgage company, there is very little profit in owning a company, very little profit. And I'll be the first to tell you that I massively did not appreciate my relationship with Fairway Independent Mortgage, with Cornerstone Home Lending, with National City before that. Getting paid off the top line is massively different. And also the mistakes that you make as a business owner, there's only one person that's going to write those checks to fix those mistakes, and it has to be you. So not only do you have less profits, and I don't mean to depress anyone, but not only do you have like less profits, you've got to write a check for your own mistakes. You've got to take your own concessions. You've got to take your own tolerance cures. And you realize really quickly that, man, it was kind of nice being under an umbrella of another mortgage company out there.
Yeah, it's funny. I mentioned to you earlier that the place that I first worked put 2 leads on my desk every day. And that was back, before the SAFE Act, et cetera. I was paid like 50%, right? And my mindset was, well, I want all of it, right? Like you just said. And it's funny because now I seem to attract the originators that say, hey, I'm at such and such bank and I want to start my own shop. Can I park my license with you for the 6 months it takes me to set up? And Wally, like for a while, I would say, yeah, sure, come over. Like, but I would have the conversation with them to say, hey, listen, here was what happened to me. I felt like I wanted more than 50%. And when I own my own shop and you start taking into account licensing fees and compliance and all of the other things, now I'm literally probably taking home 50%, if that, right?
If that.
Yeah.
If that.
So you start to kind of educate more and then it helps you be in a situation to be able to recruit better.
Oh, I mean, I remember the gentleman's name is Mark Laird. He's the president and CEO of Cornerstone Home Lending. This was like back in like 2013. And I remember he had a place at Pebble Beach, and his country club was Monterey Peninsula Country Club, which is like one of my favorite golf courses ever. We're playing there, and we're in the front nine somewhere, but he had said, you know, what do you think the gross number of basis points in a loan is? And he said, you know, a conventional loan, you're looking at like 510 basis points or something like that. And he said, he goes, why do you ask? And my response is, well, you only pay me 150 basis points. Like, how can I earn more than that? And he goes, Wally, what do you think I make? And he was a CPA before he was the owner of Cornerstone. He goes, what do you think I make? I said, I don't know, 150, 200, 300 basis points, whatever you make. And he goes, I make 44 basis points net. After I pay for all the infrastructure that allows you to make 150 basis points, I make 44 basis points. So if you want to trade, I'm happy to trade. Yeah, I'm just going to hit my ball over here. And and again, I've replayed that multiple times in my mind. Back in 2013, I didn't really appreciate that, or I thought he was full of crap. But now as a business owner, I think you'd be very lucky to net 44 basis points on every single loan.
Absolutely.
After expenses.
Yep.
So Robert and I's goal was not to depress the mortgage world out there or jump on this rant. But I'd say the biggest thing that how we bring it all together is, as you're a loan officer, yes, you originate the loan. However, you originating a loan is absolutely worthless if you don't have the infrastructure around you to be able to close that loan on time, process it, underwrite it, and so on and so on. That takes money to cost that. Now, do you feel like you've got to give up 50% of the gross profit? I don't know. It's really up to you. But one thing I advise every loan officer out there is to understand dollar cost averaging, meaning as if you're going to spend your time, and we had a loan officer the other day that said, hey, because we've got a retail branch model and we've got which is higher basis points, and we've got a wholesale branch model. The difference is, which is lower basis points, you manage your own operations team. And we had a loan officer the other day that he closed like 6-7 closings, and he never missed a closing with us. Never missed a closing. We closed everything on time. He goes from the higher basis points to the lower basis points model and does contract processing. The dude had 6 closings the next month. He missed all 6 closings. And when you realize really quickly, he's like, and he came back and he's like, dude, hey, take my pipeline back. Like, save me. I'll go back to the old basis points, which was more. And when you realize really quickly that our job is to originate loans, which is a smaller portion of the tasks needed, you shouldn't feel like you deserve all the money on every loan.
Absolutely. And not only that, I think that we look at conversion rates, right? And if you're just getting business from a single source, and there's a specific conversion rate about that. One of the things that we talk about a lot with 24/7 is the 6-lane highway. And if you're getting referrals from a CPA who is telling their client, call Wally, call Robert. If you're getting referrals from the financial advisor that's saying, call Robert, they're not checking with Rocket or, Veterans United or wherever else. They're calling you. There's a much higher conversion rate. It is, generally speaking, a much more qualified borrower. So you're not wasting money on credit pulls or other things. Much more loyal because it came as a highly endorsed referral.
Yeah. Plus also, you're not working evenings. You're not working weekends. If you run your own shop, you can have more margin, more profitability on those loans. At the end of the day, there is no negativity whatsoever by getting a referral from a financial advisor or a CPA over a realtor. There's a lot of negativity about getting your referrals only from realtors. So, Robert, I want to give you the closing thoughts. Walk us through the last 30 seconds of you embarking your wisdom on the mortgage community.
So one of the things that we talked about was not working nights and weekends. Yep. And it's funny because if you think about the professionals involved in the 6-lane highway, they don't work nights and weekends either. I don't know very many attorneys that I could call on a Saturday morning. I don't know of a CPA that's working, unless it's tax season, but that's available for a phone call on a Sunday afternoon, or, a financial planner when the market's closed. And so if you're getting referrals from those sources, those referrals don't expect you to work hours that the person that sent you aren't working. And so they're a lot more understanding. And so I feel like in terms of profitability, success, conversion rates, all of the above, working with more referrals from different wealth partners is going to lead to higher profitability, better schedule for yourself, better balance for your family, and higher conversion rates.
Yeah, and a better quality of life. I think you'll enjoy your job as a loan officer much more. You won't come home kicking the dog every day because you pulled a credit score and it was 400 credit score. I've never, ever, 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 and I've done tens of thousands of mortgages. I've never gotten a referral from a wealth partner that is a 400 credit score from a CPA, 500 financial advisor, family will attorney, or insurance agent. I mean, when I solely worked with realtors, my average credit score was like a 672. When I started working with realtors and CPAs, financial advisors, family will attorneys, insurance agents, I went from a 682 to a 737 as an average credit score. They have more, and I went from a 91% loan to value to an 84% loan to value on average. And you realize really quickly, they put more money down, they're more qualified, and they don't demand every minute of your evening and weekend. That's a completely different relationship.
Absolutely.
So, all right, Robert, how does someone get a hold of you if they want to get in a relationship with you?
3 easy ways. One, I am on social at just_a_mortgage_guy. I can be found at robert.mortgage, or the easiest way is robert at 247mindset.com.
I love it. I love it. All right, Robert, thank you for your time. And then we'll see you guys soon at the next show. Cheers.
Thanks.